Hello everyone and welcome to Module 8. This week our focus will be on orthopedics and the musculoskeletal systems. So for this week we do have two chapters we're focusing on, Chapter 24 and Chapter 37, pages 847 to 849. So let's go ahead and do an overview of those two chapters, starting with Chapter 24. So this chapter is focused on the musculoskeletal system in orthopedics. The muscular system is made up of muscles within the body. This actually makes up about 42% of a patient's total body weight. And orthopedics, on the flip side of that, is dealing with the treatment and conditions associated with the musculoskeletal system and your bones and muscles. Working in this field, you could work with doctors who are orthopedics or those who are rheumatologists. So knowing that this muscle mass makes up about 42% of your total body weight, we need to talk about how muscles are composed of water, which is 75%, 20% protein, and 5% that are carbohydrates, lipids, inorganic salts, and non-protein nitrogenous compounds. The muscle fibers are held together by connective tissues, and that connective tissue is held together by fascia or fibrous sheaths. Now, when we look at our muscles, we need to talk about, the functions that they carry out for our body. And there are 6 main functions that your muscular system does consist of: movement, stability, circulation and respiration, those two do go together, heat production, digestion, and elimination. Movement is because nearly all of your movement in your body can be attributed to muscle contractions, either voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary movement is the most understandable function in the muscular system because we use this to walk, stand, sit, smile, speak, all of those things. Involuntary movement happens without our control. So this is where, again, those muscles in our heart beat without us telling it to. Our stomach digests without us telling it to, okay? Stability is when the body's able to maintain its position and structure through continual partial contractions of the skeletal muscles. So the muscular and skeletal systems work together to provide the body with stability. Circulation and respiration is when we talk about how the heart will provide the circulation of our blood throughout our bodies and provide oxygen and nutrients to our system. Respiration is controlled by muscle movements, which help our bodies to breathe. Heat production is when your muscles produce heat through chemical changes in the muscular contractions. This helps your body to maintain a normal body temperature. And last, we have digestion and elimination. This is where an involuntary action of your smooth muscle helps your GI tract to transport food from the stomach through the intestines and then out the rectum. So now that we understand the functions of our muscles, let's talk about the different types of muscles. So there are 3 types of muscles in your body: smooth, skeletal, and cardiac. Smooth muscles are also called your involuntary muscles. They are elongated, spindle-shaped cells, and they are found in your respiratory tract, urinary tract, digestive system, and in your blood vessels. Skeletal muscles are also what we call voluntary or striated. They can perform skeletal movements because they attach the bone to the body. Any movement performed by this muscle is consciously controlled, so these, hence why we call them voluntary. And your final one is your cardiac muscle, which are found primarily in the heart, and they form The cells form a network of what we call branching fibers to help the heart pump on its own. All right, so now we've discussed the functions, we've discussed the types of muscles. We need to discuss the muscular system, but we also need to discuss the skeletal system and as they work together. So muscles actually use energy in the form of ATP, which is a type of chemical energy in the body and the cells that is needed to sustain and repeat muscular contractions. ATP can be aerobic, meaning it's produced and has the presence of oxygen, or anaerobic, which means that it is stored by glucose, known as glycogen. And these two types of energy are a little bit different. Aerobic is useful when we have to have endurance, so long-term stuff, where anaerobic is due to needing just short bursts of energy rather than endurance. All right, so skeletal muscles, as we've already stated, attach to a bone and are voluntarily controlled. More than 600 different types of skeletal muscles are responsible for movement through your body. Those can be through contraction, extension, and elasticity. When muscles perform in a group, they're classified into three categories. They're either a prime mover or an agonist, an antagonist, or a synergist. A prime mover is a muscle that is the primary actor in a given movement. This is a muscle that produces the movement in the muscle contraction. An antagonist is a muscle that counteracts or opposes the actions of another muscle, typically a prime mover. And a synergist is a muscle that acts with another muscle, most commonly, again, that prime mover, to produce a movement. So prime movers are the main guys, antagonists will go against them, and synergists will join the prime movers. All right, so that's going to wrap up this first chapter for us, which is chapter 24. We're going to move on to chapter 37, which is talking about your role as a medical assistant in working with orthopedics. So when working with orthopedics, you will be responsible for a few duties, just like you would in any other unit. First and foremost, you're going to room your patients and obtain vital signs and measurements. You're going to review the patient's medical history and complete any forms or documentation that are needed. You may be responsible for scheduling procedures and tests. You'll work with other professionals such as physical therapists or occupational therapists. You'll provide patient educations on support and treatment. You'll apply therapeutic modalities such as heat or cold packs, could be splints also. And then you'll obtain x-rays and other diagnostic images to aid in the diagnosis and treatment of the patient's condition. You have to be certified in radiology in order to actually perform those x-rays unless they do some on-site training. X-rays are technically not in the scope of practice of medical assistants. And the last part of this chapter is talking about some of the common diseases and disorders, such as atrophy, fibromyalgia, a ganglion cyst, Lyme's disease, muscular dystrophy, myasthenia gravis, rotator cuff tears, shin splints, sprains and strains, tendinitis, and tetanus. So please make sure, as always, that you are reading through chapter 24 and those few pages for chapter 37. They will greatly help you this week with not only your discussion board, but also your quiz, as well as discussing your lab classes. So for this week, you have one discussion board, which is talking about muscles and exercise. So for this discussion board, you will need to look at why exercise is so important for your muscles, and what you feel will happen to to your muscles when you do not exercise. So this is a very heavy topic to talk about. I'm very excited to see what you guys put together for that. Your initial discussion post will be due no later than Tuesday, August 22nd by midnight, and you'll need to reply to at least one classmate no later than Saturday, August 26th. You do have one quiz this week also, and this quiz is a little bit different than what we've had in the past. It will consist of 6 questions, 5 of which are short answer, 1 will be matching. For this, because it does have some short answers in there, you will have a 15-minute time limit, but it will still be due on Sunday, August 27th by midnight. All right, guys, that is all that I have for you. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, please make sure, as always, you are reaching out to me. You can reach out to me through Blackboard course messaging, and you can also reach out to me through my direct line to the Rockford campus that you can find on the course homepage in the top right-hand corner next to my photo there. All right, I look forward to your discussion boards this week, and please make sure that you plan enough time to take your quiz because of those short answers. I look forward to what all you put together this week. Have a wonderful Module 8, guys. Bye-bye.